All right, it's about that time. Once again, Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, based right here in South Florida, of course, alongside myself, John Laws of Discover South Florida. And people keep asking about all these different areas in Palm Beach County and North Broward County, towns we want to talk about. And Boynton Beach was just like, hey, why aren't you talking about us? And it's like, hey, slow your roll. We'll get to you. And that time is now. Boynton Beach obviously holds a special place in my heart because, Larry, you may or may not remember when you took me for the job interview, you and Will took me to lunch at Two Georges right there on the water at the Intracoastal in Boynton Beach. So that's a place I always think of anytime I'm passing through. And briny breezes. I don't know why. I just always found that place interesting.
That is
It's
true.
like,
that is true.
Briny Breezes, for anyone who's not familiar with it, it's kind of like basically a huge retiree trailer park, which in my mind, when I think about traditional retirees coming to Florida, they got like their little double wide or whatever, like post 1950s. I think of Briny Breezes. I mean, in my head, that was like every possible Florida retiree stereotype, and not a bad thing. I mean, it's like if I picture myself old, you take the missus and her little dog and you move into one of those places. I'm sure people have a lot of fun there because that place has obviously been around for a while and looked like it was very well maintained.
Briny Breezes is prime real estate. That's ocean front.
That's true.
Ocean front or intercoastal front land, right? And that dirt is probably those properties sell for 700 to a million, over $1 million.
Really?
Yeah, those are trailer parks that sell for over.
I had no idea it was that much.
Yeah.
Holy God.
It's not a trailer park, if you will. It's everybody owns their own parcel.
The plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so you put your trailer on it. So
I see.
So it's very interesting. Very interesting.
That makes a little more sense than why it's so well maintained. It's like, the people that manage the property, yeah, it's great. No, they own each parcel.
Huh. Yeah, even in Palm Beach County, you can sell trailer parks and still be selling $1 million and doing $1 million deals, right? That's great. Yeah.
All right. So as we get into all
it.
the happenings of Boynton Beach, Florida, we'll talk about some most current events first. This was interesting. This is some recent local news. As anyone knows who's tried to, relocate to Florida in the last few years, obviously finding affordable housing has become a serious challenge. You got your rising rents, skyrocketing home prices, and the zoning restrictions have made it harder than ever for, your everyday Floridians to try to secure a decent place. You have the Live Local Act, which is more properly known as the State Bill 102. It's considered the current solution to tackle Florida's housing crisis. All right, Larry, State Bill 102. What can you tell me about it? From a real estate perspective, why is it a big deal?
Well, Live Local Act is getting a lot of use. We'll put it that way. There's a number of projects throughout Palm Beach County, Broward County, Dade County, all over the state, but specifically in these high density areas. And there's a number of reasons why this is pretty cool for developers. I think more than anything, because the goal of the Live Local Act is to provide affordable housing, as you mentioned, and the big way to do that is to provide tax incentives if you're the government, right, to these developers to help them be more interested in building affordable type projects. Because historically, and still kind of true, it's not really effective or efficient or profitable to build.
Yeah, I was going to say profitable just doesn't make financial sense, I'd imagine.
Exactly, to build these things, right? So this is the solution: add some tax advantages. But that's not the only way they're incentivizing developers, right? So it's, hey, if you build and offer a certain percentage of the building as affordable, which that term is interesting. We can get into that too, and how we define affordable and what affordable really looks like, because frankly, it's not really that affordable. But it is helpful. It's definitely helpful. Then we'll give you tax incentives, but also what we'll do is we'll will help you get projects zoned or rezoned for this type of project for the Live Local Act, right? So we'll help you get your project rezoned to from call it a commercial zoning. So otherwise you wouldn't be able to build here, but now we're going to rezone it to multifamily or mixed use, so you guys can go ahead and develop this land. So that's one part of it. And on top of that, what they're also helping with is they're basically saying if you're approved for the Live Local Act, you can get the rezoning in specific areas, and you can also increase your density in those specific areas. What does that mean? That means you can put more units on a specific parcel, right? Also, they're helping with it. When you say increased density, that also means parking strategy discussion, like, because you need parking for more units. So all these things kind of flow together, and basically the government is working with the developers to help them get these projects across the finish line. And there's a lot of these projects that are going on. This is a common thing in the commercial world to talk about. Oh, well, this could go live local, right? We could do this in the live local strategy. If we buy this dirt here and assemble these other parcels, that could be a project that we could do. So that's something that's happening, and it's helpful. Now, back to the comment around affordable housing. We'll leave it at this without getting into the weeds. It's not that affordable, in my opinion. Right. And so it's fine. So it's not like low income housing. That's a very different thing. So you need to, I guess that's what I'm trying to communicate here. This is not a low income housing project for developers. This is trying to achieve some kind of affordability and people who qualify for those affordable options, which, by the way, looks like, if you make, in some cases, 60 or 70 grand a year, you qualify to be in the affordable housing space.
Oh, right? I believe it. I mean, the West Coast, I remember seeing there was literally, I think in Northern California, it was, you could make six figures. I kid you not, 6 figures and qualify for low income housing.
So there you go. It's similar in essence, and it changes. There's documents you follow and pricing, right? You follow for this, and that's what they have to do. They have to commit to those rules, and that's how they get these incentives. And projects are getting done, and people or developers are specializing in this now. And I think it's a net positive to add more reasonable apartments to the mix instead of just all these high-end residential apartments or condos that has historically been what's been built. So
that's interesting. So it is working. I mean, they've, like you said, they've been able to actually get some of these projects across the finish.
A lot of them. There's a number of projects, and we could even point them out. I have, there's a list, but throughout Palm Beach County, tens, 15s, they're going on. They're in process now. So one of the ones we're about to talk about is a Live Local Act project.
Okay. Yep. Well, I guess I can think of at least one place that isn't part of the Live Local Act that certainly has still a big impact in Boynton Beach. Who doesn't love the Boynton Beach Mall? Am I right? Well, probably most people. It's an older mall, isn't it? I mean, I've driven by it before, but haven't spent a lot of time there. I don't know if you were, palling around with people at the Boynton Beach Mall, but whatever the case, it is reportedly up for sale. This is according to the Washington Prime Group, the mall's owner, which had put the property up for sale after acquiring crucial pieces of land, including a $15 million purchase of the Macy's property and getting a buy-in from key stakeholders like Christ Fellowship Church, which is located on the property. They've also made sure existing tenants are on short-term leases, making the redevelopment easier to manage. So, Larry Mastropieri, we have a new mall coming to Boynton. What can you tell us?
This is interesting, right? So it's not that it's a new mall per se, right? This is like this could be partially Live Local. They could work through this, maybe. I don't know the exact details around that, but they're going to do, mixed use. They're going to put residential up in there. That's at least the proposal, right? Along with obviously other retail. And so this is a 93.2 acre site. They're calling it Trophy Development Opportunity, which is kind of out 93 acres. some semi-east Boynton Beach. Let me show you where it is on the map. I'm going to pull this up real quick. So here we go. This is the Boynton Beach Mall right here. And, so this is what it looks like. And locationally, I mean, it's pretty east.
Pretty dead. I was going to say, well, yeah, still east. To me, it's like, oh, that's dead center.
Central/east, right? It's a pretty good location overall. And over the years, you can see over here, there's been the District Boynton. There's been other communities that have been built by developers that have either turned them into rental apartments or condos right in this area. And so likely, and what they've done is they've also added the mixed use element to it, right? They got the Best Buys, the Targets, the Total Wines, all this stuff. And this whole area is pretty neat. They've also added like Dick's and all these things. It's relatively new in this area. It's pretty good shopping overall, in my opinion. Kind of everything is in one spot. You go farther, TJ Maxx, everything is here. So as they layer in, as if they redevelop this, they'll definitely do mixed use. There'll probably be some great restaurants in here. And it'll be a very like local, call it area where you can walk. It'll be very walkable, which will be neat. Now, here's the thing: it doesn't mean that this project is going to be done right away. It's just like not the case, right? So this is good.
I was going to say, one of the things that stands out to me every time it seems like with a lot of these new developments, be it that they build it over a shopping mall or something that had previously been there, how much do you feel like the times and the evolution of maybe stepping away from traditional brick and mortar factors into these developments always being mixed use? At least, it feels like most of them are.
I think mixed use is just an efficient use of space, So, and it also adds an element of walkability, and I think that's why they're doing that, right? It feels pretty, effective or efficient, and a good living experience. You'll walk downstairs, and then they're like from your building, and then there's stuff, whether that's restaurants, coffee shops, major shopping. So here, there's just a lot of it, and I wanted to share this with you. So this is what the project looks like, and this is why this has become a proposed project recently. The current owners have worked hard to basically secure commitments from the existing owners, like Christ Fellowship, which isn't included in the package, or the theater, which also is not included in the package, and get commitments from them or agreements from them to work on development projects kind of around them, right? And also they've acquired the Macy's property recently as well, which is part of the big play here. So they were able to kind of, so you get this 93 acres. It's a little pieced out, but it's enough to do something super interesting. So you can see how much stuff is in this area.
It's a lot.
Yeah. The hospital's right there. This is Boynton Beach Boulevard is straight to the ocean, so pretty cool. Like you can be at the beach in less than 10 minutes from here. So.
Now, one thing I was going to ask, so I guess in terms of the land, the theater and the church, they didn't have to like sign off on anything, did they? Or
well, what I understand from the OM and what we've been reading on this is, they have agreements or a working relationship. So that way there can be some development around the project. So they do have some agreements in place, which is kind of interesting. So
yeah, I was gonna say, wow, still, so that's a lot of space they still have to work with, even if they have to work around the church and theater.
And they're offering this for sale. They didn't actually communicate what they're selling it for, price wise, or what they're asking. They're taking offers with real players because this is a real big project, obviously. And so it's not like they have a construction loan. They don't have approved plans. They don't have, this is a 5-year project if they get it, like, or more, if they get even through the sale, right? So they're not in the bulldoze this phase of the project. And I'm sure what they'll do is, and what they've set up is, hey, you can take this down little by little. So they're staging the closings or proposing different ways to just kind of build a master plan and then handle one piece of the project at a time. Because obviously this isn't just one building. This is multiple projects within this property. So there could be joint ventures on this. There's so many things that could happen. The thing is we all just hope, at least from my perspective, and I own property around this mall, so we've been watching this for a long time and hoping something would happen here. So the fact that this is a discussion and that they've made progress is just a step in the right direction from my perspective. And this is probably still 5-10 years out from being something interesting, but or being completed, if you will, even if they don't screw this up and they get their act together and knock it out. So because it's always been this struggling mall that's not performing super well. And so something needs to change there. They have all the tenants basically on shorter term leases. And so this is the work that the current owner has done in order to prepare this for the real developer or a developer who wants to take this on and can capitalize this to get in there and do it. So,
which it's well, two things. One, that's why I asked about the brick and mortar. It just because it seems like it's kind of going the way of cars with buggy tune-ups and things like that. But the other thing that kind of stands out to me as I'm looking at that map, I'm very surprised the theater didn't sell, because it seems like movie theaters are also a thing that are kind of on their way out. Now you get movies to rent at home, like while they're still in theater. With rare exceptions, the box office isn't doing anything close to what it used to. So I figured for them, it'd be a perfect time to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, and what they say is they have it structured as a holdback, so there's probably future opportunity to work with the theater to get that done. It sounds like that could be, I don't know, could be a purchase down the road or some kind of deal structured there. So, yeah.
All right. Well, guess if you're looking to buy a new mall, Larry, you got your chance. Didn't know if you've ever wanted to own that sort of thing, but it's
892 square feet of retail space in the mall, and it generates 1.8 million of net operating income right now. And so it's an operating mall, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was still open. It could be one of those. When I was living in Atlanta, there was like an old mall that half of it was closed because they rented it out to filmmakers, including like Stranger Things and other like notable programs that they would like rent it out. And they just take it over. I'm like, well, they're looking to open a new market for that here. They're just saying you have ideas.
Listen to this. So this is where like all the hair comes in, right? So you have the theater, as you mentioned, it's a holdback. It's not included. And they have non-exclusive rights to 8.2 acres of no change area around their site, right? So these are all like the crazy things that you have to work through. And this is what has held this project back in the past, but at least they got a little bit more. And then you have the Sears auto parcel, and it encompasses 2.3 acres and is not included in the offering. The parcel is under a restrictive covenant, which dictates that the parcel must be used solely for selling automobile parts and accessories. The parcel is excluded from the offering, as the theater parcel owner must approve the removal of the restrictive declarations. So the theater owner is also the owner of the Sears auto parcel, and
which doesn't even exist anymore, right? Didn't Sears go under?
But they have some pull here. This is contracts. This is what the mall's all about. This is like the same nonsense with the Boca Raton Mall, right? Where there's a Sears in there and like nothing's been in there forever. It's just like these contracts, they get in the way. So
it's solely for selling automobile parts and accessories. How the heck did that come together?
Yeah. Well, 30 years ago, 40 years, whatever, who knows? Just make up a number. It was a long time ago.
What do you care what you're selling there? Really?
Yeah, these are things, man.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's like all these rules. Development can proceed around the reserve area as long as access to the cinema is maintained to ensure the cinema's operation and usage of the parcel. Ownership will collaborate with the buyer on all matters concerning the reserve parcel. Although the parcel has not yet been subdivided. Current ownership will work with the buyer to complete this process. So there's just like stuff to do, just so much stuff to do. And so they have proposed plans, right? Here's like what this could look like: parking,
Wow. That's a
resi.
lot.
Yeah, there's a lot here. There's still a lot to do. And frankly, it's not I don't think it's the end of the world. Like,
No, it's not. I mean, imagine how much more they could put in there. That's almost too much. I just didn't in my head imagine like there'd be that many units in that space, but oh, wow.
I think they say how many units you could put here. It's residential space, total dwelling units, 900, garden apartments, 470. So that's that, they could put, so they have townhomes and garden style apartments. There's a lot.
Those are the yellow are all townhomes. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yep. So look at that. Yep. Pretty interesting. So this could be,
those are dead. I mean, the church, I understand, but the theater, I'm like,
yeah, it's kind of like a business deal. The church I get has like, other opinions, right? So yeah. Okay. Here's here's alternative options, right? Where you could do instead, because these are garden style apartments, right? Or I'm sorry, these are townhomes. These are the apartments. So you can, and so proposal 2, look at how many total dwelling units, 1,530.
Oh man.
So you can put in, there's a lot. You can get thousands of units in this space.
Hey, let's be real. That'd probably be the one they'd go with. What maximize?
No, go on. Yeah.
Moving there. Come on.
Yep. And then they go on to tell you about how much, per unit each one's selling for on the market today and what that all looks like. And so
now by default, I would imagine a project like this would be a nice shot in the arm to the property value of the places you said you have right around there.
Well, like if you I think it's just generally helpful, right? It like more people in a specific area, especially in a arguably rundown mall. It just improves the general area and the quality of the area, brings more tax dollars in, infrastructure gets better, better restaurants or more stuff is in the area. So like, that's probably why the Cinemark or whatever the heck is there that is not selling, because the reality is if they actually execute on this and they get this project done, I mean, this guy, they're going to do a facade upgrade. They'll do some awesome stuff here. And all of a sudden this theater becomes,
that's true. That'd be a nice little spot people could walk to. That's true.
Yeah. So that's why he's been holding out, I'm sure. And I'm sure
playing chess. I'm playing checkers here. I'm just trying to learn.
Yep. Yeah, totally. So anyway, we'll move on from this. This is super interesting for Boynton, though. This is one of the newer developments. They just offered this, like, I don't know, within the past 30, 60 days. They may have been shopping it privately before, but this is something that just kind of came public recently. So
I was going to say, who knows? Maybe related Ross will drop in at the last minute and just take over the whole thing.
Quite possibly.
All right. So we also have the Boynton Beach's Village Square at Golf, which sells for $31.1 million. Nice chunk of change. What do you know about that deal? Have you seen anything on that?
I think it's just interesting. It's just interesting that this asset, this retail asset, sells for such a big number. It's not that it's like a crazy number, but it's a big price in the area. And it just further shows the believability of Boynton as a real place on the map, because guys that are showing up and paying, in the $30 million range for a retail asset, I mean, that's pretty serious. So that's the sale price was $230 per square foot. And so that's kind of a big per foot. It's not a small per foot. Let's put it that way for a transaction like this. I want to show you where it is so you get a sense of, here we go. So you can check this out. So this isn't even, by the way, this isn't even in West or East Boynton. This is in West Boynton. So it's over here off of Woolbright. We were just talking about the mall, which is over here, right in this area. The other thing, this is another thing about the mall. We'll just jump back to it. There's like a Home Depot super east right here. Like that's not super common. Like just having that stuff close by. all this stuff in Boynton is very east, whereas like Boca, like some of this stuff you have to go super far west.
I was gonna say no. I was like Home Depot. It's one of the few drawbacks that I have about living in East Boca. I got to go up to Del Rey to go to Home Depot.
So East Boca is nice because it's super boutique and there's not really much big box stores anywhere, if at all, right? Mm. And so in order to get a big box store, you either go north or south to the adjacent cities, or you go way out west Boca, right, on 441 or something, right? And so here in Boynton, it's not like that, which is, has its benefits. You can pop into all that shopping super easy in this area. Now, back to this. This is where the Village Square is. So, out west, right off of Military, and it's a newer project. It's a newer retail. You can kind of see. Just see if the outside shot is, but it's a newer, you can see the facade's a little bit more updated. This is a more updated project, and they paid a lot of money for this thing. And so it's just interesting to see a big transaction like that happen in Boynton.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it seems like there is a lot of stuff going on there, because it isn't just the Village Square at Golf. You also have some big loans, as we always like to talk about with some of those projects in Boca and other places. You also have a $52.3 million loan, which is fueling an industrial transformation. This is the Foundry Commercial and Wheelock Street Capital. They've reportedly have secured a $52.3 million loan to build a state-of-the-art industrial complex. Now, when I see industrial complex, what exactly are we talking about here? Warehouses? What other kinds of, manufacturing? What is that?
Usually they call this, like, in this type of area, this is called an infill location. So let me show you where it is on the map. As location matters here in real estate. So this is pretty east. Again, like, this is kind of interesting to have like a very relatively large industrial complex or a warehouse complex in this area. It's hard to find dirt like this that can be qualified for something like this. So this is kind of interesting. And so in an infill location like this, they usually call this like last mile type stuff, like Amazon, transfer stations or stuff like that. Not to say that that's exactly what they're going to put here, but whenever we see a loan for construction get issued, usually it means the project's going to get done, or they're going to start moving on the project because they just got the loan, which means they probably have the building plans already approved or almost approved, because usually the lender doesn't lend without, some clarity on that. So, or some certainty around that. So this project's happening. This is pretty interesting. This is a pretty big site, 30.8 acres. So, so they purchased it from Bethesda Hospital, right? That's kind of interesting, for $37.7 million. So
Bethesda's doing okay.
Yeah, and they currently have, as you can see, there's Bethesda's doing all right. Yeah, I guess Bethesda didn't need the expansion. They probably owned it for that reason and from a while back, and so now they plan to tear down the building that's there, which was an abandoned medical office, which is interesting. 125,000 square foot abandoned medical office, and they're going to put up 457,000 square feet warehouses. So.
You bring up an interesting point. Obviously, land is scarce to a certain extent when you're trying to build these new residential communities and stuff in South Florida. How much does the zoning impact that? I mean, are there a lot of places that it's like, man, we would love to put something here, but this big plot of land is just sitting because it's under different kind of zoning?
Well, that's why the Live Local Act is so interesting, right? Because it basically, from a state level, says, hey, this is how we're going to do things. If you guys bump into, example, you could probably have gone Live Local with this. It was probably, it's probably a commercial-ish zoning. And if the right guys got their hands on that, they might have been able to do the Live Local project there by getting the zoning changed, because the state or city would have worked with them to change that. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to do that. Right now, this is probably zoned commercial. And so the right thing to do is to plug in something else that's commercial. So
interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard. It's a thing. Like, you got to watch for that. So
I see. So There are obviously plenty of other residential developments going on, and that includes ones in Boynton Beach as well. We have the Ocean One development, a mixed-use redevelopment project, I should say. This one's coming from Hyperion Group LLC and Winter Properties. Larry, what do you know about this?
This is cool. Let me show you where this is, because this is a downtown project. This has been on the list for a while. From the city's perspective, they've approved this. I don't know how long ago they've approved this, but it's been around for a while. So mixed use redevelopment project. They paid $12 million for this development site in 2022. So it's always been a vacant parcel. This is what I want to show you where it is, because this is some of the stuff I'm excited about for downtown Boynton Beach. So here we go. So right in downtown, or where downtown will be. Because downtown,
right. Really I was going to say, I mean, there isn't a lot. I mean, really aside from old Two Georges and Banana Boat, I'm trying to think, there wasn't a lot of other stuff there.
Yeah, and so this is pretty close to Banana Boat and Two Georges, right? Which is kind of the spot. To your point, this little area, I kind of like it. It's a good in between for people or customers or coworkers that we meet with that work remote. We meet here like in the middle, and it's a cool vibe. I mean, the Banana Boat's on the water, Two Georges is on the water, and you can kind of just have a quick little lunch, and it's pretty chill. And so this is a pretty walkable little area, and this is where they have this proposed project that's underway, or not. I wouldn't say underway. They're not moving dirt. Last I drove by, but this is approved by the city. And again, the city has been, I think, very cooperative with these developers to get projects through and approved. It's just a matter of these developers actually executing. So
I was going to say, I mean, I remember, maybe it's been a year or so, but there was a lot of new government buildings, local government buildings in Boynton. I mean, it seemed like there were a lot of things, yes, within that particular district right there that were brand new. So it's nice to see they're at least trying to build on some of those recent developments.
This is the spot right here. I'll show you right here on the map. Like this, like just south of Boynton Beach Boulevard, just east of Seacrest Boulevard, west or right around the federal highway and US 1 and Ocean. All this little area here is the future of Boynton Beach. And there are projects, all these vacant parcels have big, interesting projects along the way. And we'll talk about some of them, but Ocean 1 is one of these projects. And this is, a 371 rental unit community that they proposed. And it's kind of interesting. They have small units and smaller units, 551 square feet to 1,200 square feet. So these are smaller units. There's 42 studios proposed, 238 one bedrooms and 91 two bedrooms, which is pretty interesting. And they've also included 25,000 square feet of retail and commercial space. So again, back to that like mixed use project. Again, that makes sense in my opinion here, because you're going to put some restaurants in the bottom. You're going to put some other office type stuff in the bottom. And on top of that, this is a 3.5 acre parcel that's going to have an 8-story building on it. And so adjacent to it though is other taller buildings here. This is another taller building, right? It's pretty cool. We've sold units in all these surrounding buildings here. But yeah, so this is going to be awesome when this is done, because it's kind of an eyesore in this little East Boynton area. I can't wait till they knock this one out. This will be a good one. Yes, but there's more. Yeah.
And I was going to say, and I previously, before I had gone west of Federal Highway, I really hadn't, I should say. So I was surprised how much open land there was there, as you were pointing out. It's just kind of like, I understand building. I assume the reason that they build along federal highways because it's kind of, sort of a main vein between a lot of the communities in South Florida, or at least in Palm Beach County. But yeah, I that was kind of one of those. I was like, wow, these are pretty big plots of land that are just sitting here in a place that I'm told, that land is very hard to come by.
Totally. And it's because it's all secured by the right developers waiting for the moment to do their thing. And they, in fact, even have approvals from the city to build certain projects. And that's the story of Boynton Beach. And this project, for example, they say they're going to start building in September of 2025. So we got a whole nother year before they even break ground. And their completion date, at least they claim, is 2029. So, 5 years out. So,
okay. Wow.
So Boynton's got 5 years at least before this starts to look very different. But when it does change, it'll be super interesting. And that's why, for example, I personally have properties in this southern Boynton location here. And I've missed and passed on others over the years, which I'm kicking myself for. But that's the deal. Mm-hmm. So
I had to take a moment to post Tony's comment about the tree lighting right at Centennial Park and Amphitheater in downtown Boynton Beach, which was right in the district we were talking about. That will be on Friday, December 6th at 5 to 9 p.m. Thank you, Tony. So anyone who wants to check that out, would be surprised to take the kiddo and, go see some tree lighting, get into that holiday spirit. Of course, also we have, what is this? This is the Piers. And this one is also, of course, along Federal Highway, 115 North Federal Highway, another mixed use project, which is generally the theme with all of this. Is this one done yet?
It says according to the internet, it says it's broken ground, but every time I've driven by, now I'm second guessing myself here, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure this project has not started moving dirt. And for example, like this spot, Hurricane Alley, is a pretty cool spot to go grab some food. It's kind of like I don't know. Have you been there, John?
No, I have not.
It's here's what it looks like from the outside. It's kind of just this, like, I don't want to say, it's not really a hole in the wall per se.
Right. Yeah, it was a little bit, but interesting.
This is kind of what it looks like, right?
Yes, I've heard of it. I have not been to Hurricane Alley.
So I like Hurricane Alley as a spot to grab some lunch. I like the food there. It's kind of cool vibe. It's just like, whatever, it's chill. It's just not.
It looks very vacation-y type establishment. Yes.
Yeah, it's not like trying too hard at all. so that's what it looks like from the outside.
Just part of the charm.
Yeah, exactly. Great. And I like that. So,
right.
So anyway, so it's right next to Hurricane Alley. And we, I've been there, in and out frequently, but I haven't been there probably, I don't know, in a little while now. I'm like second guessing because I always park in this lot, I guess is my point. So I'm pretty sure I would remember not being able to park in this lot if they started like bulldozing, the concrete.
Of course.
So, but they're proposed. This is our buddies Affiliated Development who have been pretty active in this area, which is kind of interesting. And this project, looks pretty epic. And this right. So like, take a look at this. This is a serious upgrade. A serious upgrade to this area. It's huge. So just freezing on that for a second. That's great. So yeah, and so they project $80 million is the construction cost on this thing. It's another 8-story, 2.2 acre site, which is smaller than the last one. So they're just slamming these things in, right? And 17,000 square feet of restaurant/retail space on this project, which is also pretty interesting. And then they have commercial space on top of that, right? For specifically, look at this. I didn't notice this until just now. 4,600 square feet of space for Hurricane Alley. That's what I'm talking about. A longtime local barbecue restaurant. So they're going to preserve Hurricane Alley. Hopefully, Hurricane Alley is not out of commission while they're doing this. Maybe they can, I don't know, find a way to put them somewhere else in the meantime. But it looks like they got a spot secured in the building, which will be great. But again, it'll be cool. Hurricane Alley will be great always.
I was going to say, I guess I can understand from a business strategy standpoint, just like kind of the same difference with that Cinemark Theater is, knowing whether to hang around or sell off. But when you see that these residential properties can be a nice addition and, they can kind of feed off each other, you stick around a little longer.
Yeah, well, totally. It's going to benefit their business. You put another, how many units did they say? What is it? They're saying 75 studio apartments, 126 one-bedroom units, 85 two-bedroom units, 14 three-bedroom units. You combine that with the project across the street. And just that alone, you got a whole bunch more people that are going to be coming to your restaurant, right? So, okay, 300 mixed income residential apartments. And here's the deal. They've structured a deal with to basically do what we just talked about, the live local type situation. It says, as part of the TIRFA, the developer will rent 50% of the units at 80 to 120% of the area's median income for a period of 15 years following completion. And again, this gives them the ability to probably increase density, because we just talked about how this is smaller than the other project on as far as lots, as far as the lot goes, and probably also gives them the ability to get some tax incentives to make this project make sense. And again, this is supposed to be started already, but I am suspicious of that. So I'll have to double check and open my eyes again when I walk by. So, yeah.
So here's a question as we're moving on to the next development, which is a 55 and up community, Valencia Grand, which you always know it's either going to be GL Homes or maybe Toll Brothers. I feel like every time I see a single family community in Palm Beach County, and this is just kind of a ballpark question. In terms of single family homes versus everything else, what percentage of new developments do you see that are actually single family homes? I mean, I feel like it's kind of just those ones out west generally for, 55 and up. I mean, do you see new developments with normal ones? I mean, non 55 and up?
The real big developments that we're seeing, you already know of, which are like you and I have talked about, which are the
Lotus,
GL,
the
GLs of the world. The Ryan Homes is another one.
Yeah.
There's a few other big players that I don't know, my brain isn't working right now.
I'll say right. I was like Toll Brothers, GL, Ryan.
Brothers,
those are the ones that always seem to come up.
These are the players. Yeah. So that's it. That's all you're going to see. And then you get a bunch of custom builder guys in the area, but they're only able to build stuff that's relatively expensive. So they build the custom high-end stuff, and there's, a handful of those guys running around trying to acquire lots, and they're doing one at a time. And so that's not a real needle mover or a real need to the general public in this area. Right. So, yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind, like I said, Valencia Grand, kind of going down our list of new developments. That's just another one that it seems like, without even knowing anything else about it, I was like, let me guess. I bet this is West Palm Beach County. But they're nice homes. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, man, anytime I see, GL Homes attached to something, I'm picturing nice single family homes for 55 and up in West.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a ton of 55 and up new construction projects, but there are some. This is one of them, Valencia Grand. And frankly, there's a number of, when GL finds a name, they really stick with it. Lotus, they're on Lotus Community
Lotus Edge, 3. Lotus, yeah.
Yeah. Lotus
1, Lotus Plus, Lotus, yeah.
So they've done this with Valencia as well. When it comes to 55 and up communities, that is their brand, Valencia. So the Valencia Grand is one of their newest projects, and it's basically done. And what's kind of interesting is this is where it's at on the map. So they've really, back to GL just dominating the 441 corridor, right? They've just bought up and developed as much as they can and will continue to. So this project's right here, right off Lyons, in between Lyons and 441, another one. And you can see around here, Valencia Reserve to the north. It's not showing all these here, but there's a bunch of other Valencias all around this area from years past. These are great communities. This one's pretty neat. They sold in the millions, right? Yeah. 1 million to 2 million, frankly, is the price range for these 55 and up homes. In this community, as we just mentioned, GL Homes, it has 44,000 square feet of amenities, which is pretty epic. This is kind of breaking the record for best amenities in these 55 and up communities. And as you've probably seen, as we've talked about, like every Lotus kind of improves a little bit. Every Valencia, same thing. They've been improving and trying to adjust the amenities after they learn, right? And so this one is similar. They didn't mess around. They went really ham on this. And it's kind of nuts to think you can get a 2 or 3 bedroom Valencia, single family home for over $1 million. That's like a lot of money, right? For a 55 and up retirement home, if you will, or not, whatever, 55 and up community. Yeah. So yeah, and they're reselling right now, which is kind of interesting. So I pulled this up just to kind of spec this out, and because I was working with a client who was looking in the Valencias and trying to figure out which one he wanted to be in, and we were bouncing in and out of all of them, trying to decide which one basically was the most bang for your buck, So we have a lot of experience working with these, but here's like the list of sales in here. So they're starting to resell in here now. So these aren't all new construction. Some of them haven't been lived in, but these are owners selling these because basically they're sold out here, and this is a done deal at Valencia Grand. And you could see the cheapest sold in here is $1 million. This is, and then you could see the highest sold right now, 1.8. It looks like there's one that's pending around 2.195 with 0 days on market. That's pretty interesting. 3,500 square feet on the map right here. So that's interesting. That's just an interesting fact that, holy smokes, something's going to sell for over $2 million in this neighborhood right now.
So realistically, there were people buying some of these homes probably with zero intent of actually living there, and they were just going to try to turn it over like this is StubHub or something and just reselling tickets. Yeah, because that's what that looks like to me. Am I wrong?
That's so funny. That's so true. So in some cases, yes. In some cases, it's just life changes. In most of the GL communities, they don't allow that. So they try to set up restrictions around how long you can wait till you sell. After you buy, you'd have to get an exemption because, again, they don't want people, because they're closing on homes.
Right. They want the community there, not just empty houses, even if they've been bought. I would imagine
that plus, like, think about this. If you're doing one section at a time and selling and closing on them, and then everybody that just bought in that section turns around and sells, they're basically competing with you on the other sales. So there's like a combination of reasons. Yeah, let's build a community that's good. It's good business. Instead of letting people just do this crazy thing, let investors kind of speculate, like you're saying, on if prices are going to go up or not. But I mean, this is pretty interesting. And this is some pictures of Valencia Grand as it exists right now. But this is one of the units.
I mean,
they don't even have nice shots.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice community overall. Good project, good addition to the area. GL does a good job, I think. So
okay. Now, the next one we have here is the Heart of Boynton project, which is, imagine that, mixed use and multifamily setup. This one is located at 137 Northeast 10th Avenue. Larry, what do you know about this one?
Not a whole lot, but I'm going to share my screen with you on what we do know. So this is what the project looks like. And I'm going to show you where this is as well.
Wait, was that the before? Okay. Well, no, that was like.
So let me show you. Hold on. Let me pull up the location here for you. It's, as we talked about, it's off of Martin Luther King Boulevard. Let's pull it up on the map. Bingo. So Boynton's been good about developing this, executing on some projects.
That's right. I was going to say that's right around that central district we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. And they've done. Where's the other one that they built? So this is one of my biggest blunders is not buying this building right here. We had it and we decided to pass. This is right like 2 months after the pandemic took over. And we're like, maybe we'll wait. We should have waited. Anyway, but right behind it, they developed a whole, affordable housing project right here, right? Ocean Breeze East Apartments. Great project, really improving the area. Because this area here, north of Boynton Beach Boulevard, has historically been a little more difficult, a little tougher of an area.
I was going to say you're trying to keep it
be PC,
keep it friendly. Right, I get it.
Mm-hmm. So building here is kind of interesting, and they've been able to like kind of develop. You can see they're working on different projects in this area. So again, this is good. This is good to add housing in this area that's like clean, updated, and it's, it's pretty decent. It's like a good little project overall.
Mhm.
It's 124 residential units, just under 4 acres. And they have some leasable commercial space there. So it's overall pretty good. And the rents, the 1-bedroom units are, proposed to be rented or renting for, around $1,000. And there's like a minimum income for those units, right? So you have to, there's certain income restrictions. So this is, again, inspired to be or aspiring to be, some affordable housing in an area that, again, really, really needs it. And I think this is a good place to put it, because this area can use some improvements, and some just safety improvements, some, all of the above. And when you put like bigger buildings like this in this area, it tends to improve overall safety. We're seeing that kind of in the West Palm Beach market too. It tends to spur further development and improvement of the surrounding area when you build into the rougher neighborhoods and expand out a little bit. Because
Yeah, no, that's interesting. My question is, when I keep thinking about the whole premise with mixed use developments, I mean, what is the possibility of the homes, being rented out and everything else, but the commercial space just kind of sitting vacant? I mean, have you come across that a lot? It just seems like we build it, people are always going to need houses, but businesses don't necessarily, need a space to work. I always find that surprising. Like, you're kind of banking on that.
Yeah, it's a substantially smaller piece of the puzzle, I think. But I think in certain areas like this space, yeah, the commercial might struggle a little bit to lease out, versus like in a downtown, right? That
Right.
seems like it's going to get done pretty easily. And I think that's what we've seen. Well, what's interesting, next to the Mandarin, in Boca, as we've talked about so many times, there's some commercial down there,
Right.
and not all the spaces on that first floor. The building next to the Mandarin, I forget the name of the building, but also built by the same developer, right? That was phase 1. All that commercial isn't leased out, and it's probably not all leased out because they haven't finished next door yet. So
that's kind of a big
right,
piece of the puzzle, as you said.
So the businesses probably are like, what's the benefit of moving in here? It's a little bit of a unique area too. Like, there's not like a lot of walking traffic right there. So, and parking isn't super simple. So even having like that federal storefront, but having this weird location where it's not super walkable, makes it difficult. I would say that's probably the same experience that, this project could have potentially. I mean, there's some parking spaces, it looks like, so maybe not, but yes. So yeah, I think that's valid. It depends on the location.
Okay.
So.
All right. Just had a little bit of curiosity about that. So the another mixed use development. This one being developed by Edgewater Capital. This is the Villages at East Ocean North and South at 405 East Ocean Ave. So something that's actually not on Federal Highway. That's interesting. Larry, what can you tell us about this?
This is pretty cool. I'm going to show you the location. So this has changed hands a bit. We've had some history with this project personally with our firm. We've considered working with them. We actually, before this became a real big project, which now it's a huge project, which is kind of out of our realm of acquiring, we were talking about this, me and my partners. So this is pretty cool. Nothing has really happened thus yet. And I want to pull up because I didn't have it ready. That sucks, but I'll pull it up here in a second. I'm going to show you the location, because this project is really cool when you see see what they've proposed. But it's basically this plot of land all around here, all the way down, all the way around train tracks. So as we talked about, they're developing all this, right? Mm-hmm. They have proposals for this stuff too in the mix. There's some dirt moving here. They are developing this. This is the piers, right? And so that's this whole thing right here, this whole corner actually, right? And then this is already all built out. This is 500 Ocean, clean, really nice project. So that's all done. So now they're talking about building this all the way through here, right? So it's a huge project. It's a huge project. So I'm going to pull it up real quick. We can talk a little bit more about it, so I can show you some stuff. Mm-hmm. But overall, pretty interesting project.
Yeah, I mean, according to the notes, what, $144 million construction cost for the first phase? That's ambitious.
Yeah. Yep. The developer is Edgewater Capital. Again, mixed use project, same stuff. 370 residential units. 15,000 combined square feet on 5 acres, right? Mm-hmm. And then the 2 buildings combined for 7 studio apartments, 3 one-bedroom lofts, 135 one-bedroom units, 181 2-bedroom units, 10 3-bedroom units, 30 townhomes. So they got everything going on here. And it's a very walkable space. This is really cool because, I mean, as we talked about, downtown is right here. So this is, and then you walk to the beach or bike to the beach. So these 3 projects that we just mentioned, these get done. I think they all kind of start getting done at a similar time. And now all of a sudden downtown is a very different place. And then they have older buildings here, which are owned by certain developers. Again, these projects will get done. And you have CRA owned property here and here with big proposed projects. You're just, before you know it, when this happens,
big spots.
It's done. Like once this goes, it goes, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, Boynton, no, and all of a sudden it makes sense. So like, owning here or in here, while it's still not the cheapest thing right now, it's not. I think it's way cheaper than it's gonna be. But you got to have a long time horizon for this because this is a 10, 15-year project. The cool thing about this is a lot of the projects we talk about investing in or deals we talk about investing in areas, they're in way rougher shape. It's a way rougher neighborhood at this given moment, right? You talk about Delray west of Swinton. I'd argue that's rougher than this area right here in Boynton. Yeah, Delray is pretty cool. Delray's cost is way higher, even west of Swinton. But here it's not as rough. It's a better neighborhood. Like I have friends that live in these neighborhoods. I own property in these neighborhoods. This is like a pretty cool little area to own in right now, not just 15 years from now, like west of Swinton might be, right? In Delray. So that's my, I'm pro Boynton, as you can tell. Like I think it's super interesting. So,
well, it certainly looks like it's got the potential, which granted, it seems like with a lot of these places, there's developments that whether or not they've been started, there's obviously opportunities that on paper. But yeah, it's good to see that at least we're kind of getting to a point where some of these projects are coming to fruition because there's so much potential. I mean, it's like you go by, you see the open land, and once you start thinking in those terms, you're kind of like, well, darn, what the heck is going on here? So that's
I totally agree. Agree.
It just, again, it's been kind of an eye-opening experience for me. I mean, just going through, Boynton periodically. Yeah, I mean, because just that whole district, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be the next Atlantic Ave, but clearly, I feel like that's sort of the model, as we've talked about many times on the show. I'd imagine there are the neighboring communities, they want to repeat that kind of success.
Yep, and that's the track these guys are on. And like I said, this is kind of unique. I think you're going to see this change so fast all at once. Unlike other areas where like the land and the projects aren't already proposed, approved, secured, this area absolutely has all of that, and it's just going to be like bingo. One guy gets it done, they see a little success there and all the other guys. So it's all about the, I think, economic environment and everybody kind of getting the balls to go and do this project, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, it seems right. It really seems like a lot of it's just take the risk. I mean, worst thing could happen, you could be the Mandarin Oriental and still be working 5+ years later. But I'm going to take shots at them anytime I can. It's the funniest thing to me.
It's so true. It's so true.
All right, so are we?
Let's talk about Boynton Beach Town Square, right, which is also like this goes back to how epic, how epic this area is, and we'll wrap up after we finish some of these construction projects. Like there's so much to talk about in Boynton. We got carried away,
really
right?
I didn't realize there was that much stuff going on in Boynton, or at least potentially, until we started accumulating everything. That's, so kudos to Boynton. The Boynton Beach Town Square you just mentioned at 100 East Ocean Avenue, a mixed-use project. I know, right? Take a moment. The north parcel of this project is located at the corner of Boynton Beach Boulevard and Seacrest Boulevard. So that's another one that's kind of right there in the heart.
Yeah, let me show you this, and this is basically what we were just talking about, right? So here we go. So location, these parcels here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's at. Again,
yeah.
This is what we were talking about. Like, we just literally went basically block by block from east to west here. And again, this area, once all this gets done, this will gradually get done. Again, these are smaller parcels, but the big ones are going to take over, which is pretty interesting. And can I show you just what this proposal looks like? Okay, so we just saw big parcels north and south right along Seacrest. And then so right here is a perfect example of what this is, right? Look at how big these freaking buildings are. This is huge. Yeah. This is arguably one of the biggest possible projects in the area. This will change Boynton Beach completely in the downtown market once they knock these two out.
How it dwarfs City Hall right there, which is also, pretty new.
Brand new, gorgeous. The CRA is the one that, or the city is the one that is like pushing this stuff. Frankly, they've acquired and secured this dirt here. This is all their long-term vision and their efforts. So again, this stuff isn't happening without clear direction from the CRA. I see Preston on here commenting downtown plus walkable to the beach.
Right. I'm trying to share more of these comments in the banner. So
that's cool.
I would say I didn't want to distract you from the square, but I've been trying to share more of these periodically, especially as Tony goes off on her Christmas tangents. It's okay.
Yeah, and actually, Tony, just for the record, we had it on our list here to talk about the parade, the boat parade, which we are grateful for Boynton, since Boca has deprived us this year of a boat parade, right?
Why are you trying to get me all emotional, man? Come
on. But all right, let's get back to this, and we'll kind of get closer to wrapping up. Since we've been doing this, we've been going for an hour now. Wow.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So the Boynton Beach Town Square. I mean, this project is a game changer when they get this thing off the ground. And I think what they're proposing, actually, this construction cost looks light to me. But anyway, it's the north parcel is a 3.7 acre parcel, and the south parcel 3.8. Residential units, almost 1,000, right? 898 residential units for this project. Holy smokes. And again, they're 545 square feet to 1,460 square feet. They got these efficiency style units there, studios. I'm sorry, you don't use the word efficiency. That doesn't sound cool. That doesn't.
It's all the marketing.
Yeah. So 78 studios, 351 one bedrooms, 368 two bedroom units, 101 three bedroom units, and there are 8-story buildings. North and south parcel, tons of parking, which is obviously necessary because this is going to be the downtown. There's probably going to be a number of parking for people who are visiting the area, right? Mm-hmm. So that'll be good. And what did they say? Total leasable residential space on one building is 448,000 square feet. On the other building, 425,000 square feet. There's 16,000 square feet of commercial on the north section, 6,000 square feet of commercial on the south building. I mean, this thing spans 4 blocks. Like you said, it dwarfs what the downtown City Hall looks like. And if you put 1,000 people in downtown, this is gonna improve businesses and everything. And so this again, overnight will change the game.
And that's why I ask about the commercial space with some of these mixed use. This is another example. I'm just like, boy, you guys are pretty confident that you're going to just fill these businesses in, huh? I mean, that again, I find that interesting because to me, that just seems much more, kind of counting your chickens before they hatch, but it seems to be working. They wouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah. And I think for this project, that's a no-brainer from my perspective. Like, I think like downtown Boynton Beach can use some additional retail / restaurant space in this little sector to make it walkable, to make it fun. The one thing that, as you can see, that downtown Boynton still won't have, they won't have that Ave-like feel where it's one street, at least for starters, and obviously Del Rey's expanded beyond that, but one street, you walk down that street, there's just action left and right, retail, restaurants, whatever, left and right. This will be a little bit more spread out and like not as much of that in a consolidated area, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you could just look at it on the map. It's not, or in this photo, if you're standing over here hanging out, you have to walk all the way over here to get to something else that might be pretty cool, or you got to walk all the way down. So there's still, because there's a bunch of resi in between the projects, right? So it's still not going to be, listen, it's not Del Rey. So it's just not going to be that, but it will be way better. It will be super cool, and it'll all be consolidated in one select area, which will be a bunch of fun, I think, to live in.
Yeah, it's exciting getting something new and something that, is good enough to draw attention from everybody in the surrounding communities. I mean, I'm sure I would check it out. It seems, very promising.
I agree. Well, I think we can leave it at that. We can tune in.
We've covered a lot of, like, do we really want to, I feel like we could save a lot of these topics for another episode. Because
we'll do
to the credit of Boynton, they do have a lot going on. So it's exciting to have an opportunity to talk about all that.
Yeah, we'll do like a restaurant / like nightlife / like events discussion. But I do believe we'll leave you with this, since this is timely, right? The holiday parade is on December 7th in Boynton,
That's right.
4 to 6 p.m. So, and the venue is just downtown Boynton Beach. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So the 6th is the tree lighting. The 7th is the parade. These are two up and coming things that are happening right away, which is,
and to be honest, cool. the Scrooge in me is me. Like, I'm like, gosh, I mean, it's too soon. And then you look at the calendar and it's almost Thanksgiving, and I'm like, all right, yeah, it is getting, I guess when you kind of get inside the month, I'm like, all right, man, time flies. If you hadn't heard.
Tony's psyched about Santa.
I clearly, Tony is a fan of the holidays, so that's always a lot of fun. And like you said, with that, we will wrap it up here. Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, talking about Boynton Beach and a lot of development going on there. So if you're in the area, make sure to check it out, because it seems like it's up and coming. I know I will.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you guys on the next one.